Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal, just in case you were new here, and today I have my February wrap-up for you. In the month of February, I read 6 books. I think I did 2 of them on audio, or like half. One of them was like half audio and half read. And I would say that's a pretty successful reading month for me. I think this is like the best reading month I've had in a while. I mean, like last month as well. Like, I've been reading a lot of books and I'm feeling accomplished, which is very exciting. I did find my first 5-star read this month for the year, which was so exciting. It's a new favorite book of mine. I cannot wait to get the second book, and that book is Heavenly Bodies by Amani Iriu. This is a, I want to say it's a new release, but it's really not. It was just newly published, and it originally was independently published. It's a romantasy series that has to do a lot with like the celestial kingdoms and gods pretty much like rule this world, but the gods are not really that nice either. They're pretty evil in many ways, but our main character, she's just like a girl that just like has nothing left to lose. Our main male character, he is just like the most romantic of sorts, and he does fall first, and you just see the emotion in him. Even though we're not in his perspective, you could just tell just the way he looks at her, the way he speaks to her, the way he stands near her, like just the descriptions of everything. It's just like, oh, what a man. What a man. So I love Enzo, and the female main character, she was so likable, and I never really find that in romantasy books. You know, you always just find your typical like whiny female main character, and most of us tend to love the male characters way more than the female, but I just thought they were such a great, like there was just such great chemistry between the characters. Even all of the other side characters, everyone was just so well developed. I really enjoyed everyone's magic systems and their powers, and like everything was just so unique. But I will say, like, this world, I could pull so much from different books that I've read, romantasy and fantasy wise, and I feel like all of it was kind of put in here. So like a lot of it reminded me of Sarah J Maas, and it was just almost like a combination of like ACOTAR and Throne of Glass and Crescent City, like all thrown into one. That's what I felt this book was, and maybe that's why I'm biased and love this so much, because those are like my 3 favorite fantasy series right now. So reading this was just so much fun, and I was just like kicking my feet with how much fun I was having, and there was just plot twist after plot twist, and it just never got boring. I never got bored. I ate this book up. I love it. I highly recommend it. It's probably like a 6-star, really. Like, it's getting an extra because I just loved it. I just loved it so much, and I recommend it if you're looking for a new fantasy series to follow along with as new releases come out. If you're in a Sarah J Maas book hangover, or any romantasy series book hangover, I just think this will cure it. I think this was so much fun, and I can't wait to continue on with the series. I'm a huge fan. Then next, I finished a 3rd book in a series, and that is Morning Star by Pierce Brown. This is like the first arc. This is the ending of like the first arc of the Red Rising series. It does continue on, and like there's book 4, book 5, book 6. But this was to be written as a trilogy. The first 3 books was, so I want to say like Iron Gold takes time afterwards. I really love this. I ate this book up also. It was really emotional for me. I love the character so much. I am not a big sci-fi person, but for some reason this series just works for me. I think because it's very much involved with the characters. There's just so much there for me, and emotionally I'm just really like in love with these characters. Like, I've never felt that way before about other characters in other books. It's just a different feel when I pick up this series, and it does take me a little bit to get through the books. I think because I just almost find myself reading every single word. I did try the audiobook, but I don't really love the narrator, and when I listen to audiobooks, I usually listen like on like 1.8 and then like to 2.0 speed, but for some reason like this narrator just wasn't working for me. So it did take me almost a whole month to read this book, but I really loved it. I love how it ended, this first arc, and I can't wait to continue on with the series. But it is epic. It is epic. It is just, it's a whole world, a whole big to do. It's not like a quick read, this series, at all. And I'm going to take my time with it this year. But I gave this like a 4-star, only because I felt like some parts were kind of slow, and maybe because Heavenly Bodies kind of just, I don't know, that's all I was thinking about while I was reading this book. But yeah, it was definitely a 4-star. I do love the series, and it could end up being like a whole like 5-star series for me as it wraps up. But Morningstar was definitely a 4-star read for me. Next, I read A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I am not in my thriller era. I'm just finding myself, there's like a formula to these books, and I feel like if you've read one, you've read them all, and nothing about it surprises me. The female main character was just so unreliable, and I just hate that trope. I hate being inside an unreliable character's mind the way that this book did it. And the fact that like they kept mentioning like the pills she was taking and her thought process and what happened to her when she was young, and like she's just so paranoid, and I just was kind of not feeling it. So yeah, I gave this book a 2.5. This is a book that I read for my In Real Life book club, and a lot of the girls that I read with, they are in their thriller era and they're loving it. But I think I've kind of just like, I'm just in my fantasy era, so I'm just not enjoying books like this. But yeah, I feel like if you've read one, you've read them all, and that's just how I feel about this book. It's a dime a dozen, and I'm just not into it. So 2.5 out of 5 stars. And then I finished book 2 of Zodiac Academy, Ruthless Fae. I gave this like a 4-star, I think, or like a 3, maybe a 3.5. I think it was a 3.5. I am enjoying this, but there were parts of this that were just a little insufferable, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to the series. I'm gonna continue on this month with the 3rd book. Not sure if I'm gonna finish it in March, but I'm definitely gonna start it in March. There's other books that I'd like to get to this month, but I really love this. But it was a 3.5 because it was a little insufferable, and there's a part in here when one character pees on another character, and I'm not into the peeing on people. I'm just not into that. So yeah, that kind of bumped it down like a 0.5 star, I think, because I was just like, ew, like, ew, why? But yeah, not the spice factor, not so much happening. Like, I expected this series to be so much more spicier the way people talk about it, but I'm understanding now that it gets spicier as the books go on. We're just kind of building relationships here. And I see that. But I really love the professor-student relationship that's in this. I feel like that's a kink of mine for some reason. Like, I have this thing with, you know, teachers and their students, I don't know, but of age, consent only. But wow, like Professor Orion, wow. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about this. It's the 2nd book of the series. Don't want to go too much into it about what happened and all that, but I'm really starting to build a relationship with these characters. I'm starting to get a little attached to them, and they are really not the most likable of characters, but to me, I like them, and I need to know what's gonna happen. So my understanding, like, the 3rd book is like trials, and like that's just right up my alley. You know me, I love that stuff, so yeah, looking forward to that. And then I read on my Kindle the Wayward Pines series. I read that with the Chris and Mads book club over on Patreon. We did like a page to screen kind of thing on there, and it's literally the only Patreon at the moment that I am a part of. I really trust their book recommendations, and I love their Patreon. I love the content that they put out, and I just love that they're sisters, because I have a sister that, my sister reads dark romance, but like she reads too, so it's like cute to see that. I love that. Yeah, I'm very relatable to them and their channel, so I decided to be a part of their Patreon, and we read Wayward Pines, which I've had on my TBR for so long now, like crazy long, and I was so happy that we picked it up, and my goodness, I would say a 4.25 series as a whole for me. But I've never read books so fast. And now it's definitely a thriller. There's like horror content in there, so it's kind of like falls into like a bunch of genre categories for me. But wow, great series, highly recommend. Had a great time reading it, and yeah, so I guess I read more than 6 books this month, because I had bought like the Kindle, and it was like the 3 books all in one, so like to me it was like 1 book that I read, but maybe I guess I read like 8 books this month, which is pretty good. Yeah, so really enjoyed that. Highly recommend that series. So that is it for my February wrap up. I feel like I read a decent amount of books from a bunch of different genres this month. I did start Elsie Silver's Wild Love, but I did not finish that in February, so I'm not going to count that as a book read, even though I would say like 25% of it was read in February. I am still continuing to read that. That's like my go to sleep book. It's just easy to read, and I just love Elsie Silver's books. She writes romance so well. I just love it, so I'm eating that up. I will see you again at the end of March for my March wrap up. I have a whole bunch of books on my March TBR because I got super inspired this month for the amount of books that I read. So definitely check out my March TBR if you have not already, to see the books that I plan on reading this month. Make sure you like and subscribe down below, and make sure you follow me on all my social media if you have not already. Everything is linked in the description bar down below. And on that note, I will be talking to all you guys soon. Bye.